Hello there, and if you've watched any other videos on this channel, you'll know that I love Lego, I love Star Wars, and more importantly today, I love customizing the Lego sets that we've been given. Now, out of all these 5 custom built speeders here, 3 of them are using pieces from official Lego sets, and 2 of them I've built completely on my own. Now, I like the order that I've got them in, so I think I'll be starting with the Mando Speeder and taking a closer look at each one individually. And if you are interested in building any of these, I will be putting up the instructions on Rubricable, and that is where you can find the instructions and build them for yourself if you want to add these models to your display. Now, first up, we've got Mando Speeder. I felt like the speeder Lego gave us was just slightly too long by 3 or 4 studs, and so I've reduced it and customized a few parts to make it look more accurate to the scene that we get it in. On Studio, I couldn't find a part for this baby holder here, this element, so you will have to add that on top of the instructions, but everything else is in there, and this uses pieces from that Tusken Raider set. And as far as I'm aware, nearly all of these pieces are from the actual speeder itself. So you don't even have to demolish the Tusken camp and can use that for another scene. Now, what I like about the speeder is it does match the different dimensions to the speeder we see on screen. And even if you were to hold this up to an image of said speeder, it would probably be one of the closest you can get in Lego form. So now we've taken a look at the Mando Speeder, let's move on to a bigger speeder, and this is Han's speeder from the Solo movie. Now, we only get this in a scene during that chase where he's running away from first the gang, then the Imperial patrol bikes, and perhaps in my next video I can make some custom Imperial patrol bikes to go along with it. But for now, we've just got Han's speeder, and it's a pretty sturdy build with how small it is. There's not too many different elements that Lego gave us to work with, but then again, it's not a creative fun box, it is a set. And I feel like I've made this work very well. In the instructions towards the end, there is also enough pieces left over to rebuild this side and make it look just like the other, making the speeder look more like a newer model compared to the ripped open side that we got given in the Solo movie. So if you did want just to add a speeder to any of your displays, or perhaps a bigger diorama you're creating yourself, do check out the instructions and check out what the speeder looks like with that newer side. But there's enough space to fit Han and Kira in quite solidly. They are down on studs, as with all of these minifigures, so they don't fall out. And this one in particular, I have included the wheels. You can leave the wheels out of it if you don't want, but it's a play feature from the original set that I really like. And they've also included wheels on the new fighter tank so that it allows it just to glide over any surface pretty smoothly. Taking a look at a third one, and this is the first speeder that isn't based off a set, or at least I didn't intentionally do it. I haven't looked at any speeder builds, custom or Lego, for this, and decided that this was the best way to represent it in Lego form. Now, I played around with the start and tried to get a few different pieces on, but for how big the front panels are on the actual Endor speeder, they're only really a stud big in Lego, so decided that these pieces were best to represent it. Now, if Lego were to release a model like this, they'd probably give us some small custom triangular shapes to clip on the front there, which would be really nice. But as them elements don't exist, this is what we've got to deal with for now. And as you can see, I've tried to get it so the Scout can lean over as much as he can, which does mean I was limited to 3 plates tall in front of him, but I tried to make the most of that space and added some cool handles that he can hold on to. And also, if we take a look at the underside, again, the size of these components on the speeder bike aren't substantial enough to include a little engine piece like Lego usually does, so I've put this 1x2 rounded plate for the engine and included this wheel accessory without the tyre on the end to act as the blaster up front, as I wasn't able to represent it at the end of these 2 bars. But taking a look at the back, now we do have these white pieces. I've ordered some brown pieces on Bricklink, they haven't come yet, so I can show off this model in its full glory when they arrive. And I will be using it later on to recreate the Endor diorama, especially with Luke's figure coming in the annual and Leia's in the advent calendar. Now, neither of them come out until September the 1st, and I have still got one of the Scout poly bags from the magazine when it came out earlier in this year. So hopefully I can get to building Endor soon and create a budget Endor diorama. But overall, this speeder is very nice. And if you were to pop off this back piece, just like so, you can actually remove this middle bit here, put the back piece back on, though it's only held by 2 studs, it is quite sturdy. And there's room for a second minifigure, such as the speeder that Luke and Leia ride in tandem. And if you don't want that, then you can just put these plates back in. And what it also allows is for characters such as Wicket, who is a thicker character due to the headpiece that they use and the short legs, you can get 2 jumper plates with the single stud in the middle, just in that 2x2 gap, which would allow Wicket to drive such a bike and means you can replicate other scenes outside of what you usually can. Even though we have already gone through 3 speeders, we do have 2 more, and this one again, like the Endor speeder bike, isn't based on any set, doesn't have any instructions, though I will say for this model that you're seeing, I have used the stickers from the latest Luke's Land Speeder, as it just completed the little speeder. Even though these are smaller and minifigure scale, which is much smaller than most of the play sets, I would still like all these models to have as much detail as possible, and especially like at the front where you've got all the different vents. I have tried to recreate that using 2 plates all around the side, but you can't get this much detail in 2 plates of space, especially on the engines where I've used the pieces that were actually used in the last Land Speeder to keep these engines on at the side. And I'm not sure why LEGO didn't use the stickers for these parts, as I'm pretty sure even LEGO would stick a sticker over 2 pieces as long as they are next to each other. But I think it just makes the models look that much better. And with this one in particular, I've still kept certain play features, much like Han's Speeder, having the wheels underneath. If you take off this back 1x4 play, you can see Luke's binoculars are there, and the weapon that he uses to try and warn off all the Tusken Raiders does clip nicely on the back, as well as there is still space to get 3PO sat on the back just behind Ben's seat, like he does when they hunt for his pal R2-D2. None of these builds are particularly easy, however I've had enough time and dedication to work on them, and I do have a few alternate models that we'll get to after looking at this BARC speeder, which I think is one of the more impressive of the bunch. If I fix this bit up, you can see that it's very, very different to the scale that LEGO gave us, and this is using all pieces from the 501st Battle Pack, the first one, not the one that come with these newer clones, but there is a reason this clone is sat in the seat. If we take a look on its back, you can see it does have the clone backpack, which also fits on this model, and proportionally it does match up to a BARC speeder. I've tried to not only get the general measurements of the whole speeder, being height, width, depth or length, but also the individual measurements of, say, the engines, and especially this front bit here, which I think LEGO extended way too far out. And like with most of these, it gives you plenty of pieces left over to build other bits. And if we got a battle pack with this sort of speeder, I just think it'd look really cool. Perhaps they could even include a little turret or command post of sorts. And these are the sort of builds that we could be getting in the £15 battle packs, the smaller ones, unlike the £30 one. And it just goes to show that that rumoured set for next year, that £30 battle pack with all the clones and droids, we could not only get a build like this, but we can get a few of them. We can get a few brick built droids as well as this, perhaps a few STAPs, and it's just more builds that you can play with, and does make it a better playset than if you were to just get, say, this and an oversized walker. Perhaps even they could give us 2 of these, which would be really cool, especially when most of the time we get multiple clones and droids. So this will give everyone a vehicle, and this is one of my most impressive models. Now there will be a community tab up, like with all my other videos, asking you which one of these 5 speeders you prefer. And I am happy I get to bring all of these to you in the one video, especially after so many of you loved my Kenobi's Delta 7. And hopefully I'll start work on the next minifigure scale ship and can bring that to you very soon. An interesting thing I would like you to take away as well is not only are these models what you can build, but you can also build other instances of the ship showing up, such as the BARC speeder that came in the Bad Batch shuttle set, the one that Crosshair rides on. And this set did not only have this speeder, but also had this one that Crosshair rides on. And it just goes to show how different they are, as the BARC speeder is definitely the longest speeder out of the two. Even Hunter speeder is 3-4 studs wider than this minifigure scale BARC speeder. So in the next video where I decide to build a few more custom speeders, this will definitely be one of them that I make closer to minifig scale. I think the biggest problem with this set are the pieces they've used here to try and get all the bricks on the end. So replacing them with bars will already get rid of about 3-4 studs. So do let me know in the comments and comment on that poll which other speeders you would like to see as minifigure scale, especially if they've already been done in LEGO before. I will try and keep to the pieces used in that set. You might have just seen as well, I have got this white speeder. The 74Zs, I believe they're called, weren't just used on Endor, they've been used across the galaxy, especially by Imperials, for which they were no doubt made. But I've just replaced most of the brown pieces with white. These are the brown pieces that I'm still waiting on, but I think it looks really cool. And I didn't have all the pieces. Again, I didn't have any white 1x1 brackets, so I had to go with brown and dark grey, but you can still see the idea, and I think it encapsulates the speeder very well. So let me know down in the comments what you think of this custom speeder collection. I will be replacing this in my display, as they were missing a few videos ago. But don't forget to like, subscribe for more custom LEGO Star Wars and for more LEGO. I really enjoy this LEGO content I'm making, and there's so much I've got to show you from my last few years of customizing and playing around with LEGO. So do stay tuned for that. I really do appreciate it, and my channel's growing just so fast. We've got over 300 subscribers, which is mental. Thank you to each and every one of you. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? You might as well hit the button. But if you don't want to miss out on the latest news and my latest MOCs, hit the bell and stay tuned for more awesome content. May the Force be with you always.